I am so sick and tired of the manual versus DCT debate. Today, I'm going to give you some of my personal riding experience after doing 9,000 miles on this motorcycle, including the Dalton Highway, 450 miles of off-road, to put this question to rest once and for all. Stay tuned. So let's talk about the DCT versus the manual. Okay, so everybody says the DCT is great except for off-road. They want the control of the manual. Well, I did 438 miles of dirt road on this thing in the Arctic on the Dalton Highway, and I never wished I had manual. So I don't know if that helps you decide, but for me, I really appreciated just having one less thing I'm going to think about. I could focus on the terrain. I don't have to think about what gear I'm going to be in. So it's just one less thing. And when you're doing that many miles off-road, it demands focus and concentration. So I think it's just, for me, one less thing. It's no less fun, I wouldn't say. It takes you, I don't know, a few rides to get used to it. Like when I first did it, when I come to a stop sign, I was grabbing for the clutch, right? And I have two manual bikes. If I want to shift, I can go ride them. So I don't miss it. I don't miss the manual. I don't regret getting the DCT at all. I really do enjoy this bike, and it's just kind of a different feeling where I'm more focused on maybe the sound of the engine or how it's riding, and just don't have to worry about the clutch and the shifter. Or what gear I'm in. It's just one less thing to think about. So it frees my mind up, or me to focus on other things, which I think has been good. And I like that this thing has the modes, the S1, S2, and S3. It's different shift points it shifts at. And so I can set that, with S3 being the most aggressive shift points. And so you're going to get that. And you have the paddle shifters over here. You have the manual. You could set it to manual mode and just use paddle shifter. So really the only thing you're missing at that point is the clutch. And, the shifter is not on your foot. It's up here, with your finger. So it's not a huge, big deal to me. Again, it's something that you get used to. I would say, it's just got a parking brake right here, which is kind of cool. When you leave it in gear and maybe it's on a slope a little bit, I really like just having this parking brake and, pulling it in and just knowing your bike isn't going to roll backwards. Because even in gear, like it could, if it's steep enough, shouldn't be up parking on that kind of a slope anyways, but people do it, right? So I like that part of it. And I'd like the options of just like I said, the modes, S1, S2, S3. It gives me enough flexibility for my liking. And there's before you put the kickstand down, you just have a little button right here, and you put it in neutral, and you just hit that, and then you put the kickstand down. And it's impossible to stall. Like, I've never stalled this bike, so that is one thing that I like about this bike and the DCT is I can't stall it. I remember I had the manual version of this. It was a 2021, I believe, and I was coming up to a stop sign, and I looked really quick, no cars coming, and I went to let the clutch, and I stalled it, and the bike just went bang over on its side in the middle of the street. And I'm getting used to the bike. It was the first week I had the bike. Did a little, damage on the side. It wasn't a big deal, but, a guy helped me pick it up. But this thing, you don't have to worry about that, right? It's always running, it's always going, and, it's always in a good gear for me. So, and I guess it depends, why do you ride? Do you like shifting? Do you want that control? Do you want to be able to manually control your bike in all aspects? If that's the case, then maybe DCT isn't for you. But this bike is in the adventure sport model, which basically means it's for long distance adventure riding and touring. So it's got a 6.5 gallon tank because of that. So this model, I would say, is more geared toward the long trips, and yes, you can go off road. So that makes me feel like I made the right choice for this bike. If I just got the normal Africa Twin, that's a 50-50 call. But I do think, like on the adventure sport model, I think the DCT just makes more sense. I did 7,300 miles going to the Arctic Ocean and back, and it's like I'm not shifting a whole lot because I'm in the sixth gear the whole time, most of the time, anyways, 95% of the time, right? Because they're just long, 400 or 500 mile stretches. And yes, you pull over, you get gas, and you accelerate, and you do another several hundred miles. So I just think for this kind of a bike, it makes a lot of sense. BMW has now come out with an automatic shifting thing. I don't know what they call it. So I think other manufacturers are now getting on board. So that's really cool that we have the option, we have the choice, manual or DCT. This is the one the dealer had. And I was always like a skeptic of the DCT, if I'm going to be completely honest. I was like, that's for people who can't shift or whatever, or for old people, or it's like a scooter. I don't feel like that anymore. I still get a ton of enjoyment about riding this bike, even though doesn't have a clutch and a traditional foot shifter. So if that answers the question for you, I've heard this debated so many times, and I haven't done a video on it, and I just figured I would do a video on it. So I would say for me, I made the right choice of getting to see zero regrets. And if I bought this bike all over again, even if that dealer had the exact same bike, one manual and one DCT, I would go with the DCT because of my intended use. If I'm going to do a ton of off-road, maybe I'd pick the manual, but not really. I don't, when I'm standing up, like I find it hard to shift with my foot and my boot, so I enjoy just like standing up and having the gear chosen for me, and I can just focus on the terrain and all that, not the proper gear. So for me, it worked out perfectly. The DCT is my choice for the adventure sport, Africa Twin adventure sport motorcycle, and I'm sticking with it. Hope this was helpful. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe, and always remember to blaze your own path. I will see you in the next one.